Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to get back on the YL2C Yamaha. Uh, we're kind of getting into a repair mode, a cleaning mode, a buffing mode. It's all the little parts that usually go unseen behind the scenes, so to speak, that we're going to get in today. I'm going to show you quite a bit of it, but there's a lot that I'm not showing you. This is, it's very labor intensive. The plating, the cleaning of the chrome, I mean, it's not labor intensive, but you've got to put it in something and wait. And then repairs, I got some welding to do, and the buffing of the paint. I haven't buffed a motorcycle before, really. I did buff the gas tank that you saw on this, but normally I sand and buff cars, but I don't really buff motorcycles. But I was kind of enthused when I did a little bit on part of it on the tank and saw how good it was coming out. And I thought, you know, I think the thing with this bike is we're going to make this a survivor, and we're just going to do the best we can. Sure, it's going to have chips and nicks and scratches, but the paint is going to look pretty good, I think. So we'll just we'll get into this, do all these little nitnoy tasks, and you know, once those are done, we can start putting things together. So let's get out here in the shop and work. Okay guys, just before we get into the work part of this, I just want to mention another channel real quick. I don't know the gentleman's name, but he goes by Free Ranger CT110, and he's from Australia. So what I've just kind of looked through some of them real quick. He goes through a lot of maintenance stuff on the CT110 and CT90 Hondas, and you know, on this channel we're kind of two-stroke people, but if I could find a Honda to work on, I would buy one if it was reasonable. But I just have trouble finding Hondas around here. You know, I think probably they're so popular that everybody else is picking them up before I even know about them. But anyhow, I think you'll like what you see over there, especially if you're a Honda guy. He goes through all the, like, how to adjust clutch cable, throttle, you know, all this stuff. Does a lot of maintenance on it. Talks about some tips for many adventure riders, I guess. And he says these bikes are called posties over there because they delivered mail on them for a long time. And that was interesting to me since I was a mailman for over 20 years. And I think, you know, these people are just trying to get their foot in the door. I know I was almost 3 years ago, and it's really slow, the growth on YouTube, unless you have some kind of a gee whiz thing that just hits and goes viral. I guess I would have to consider myself still a newbie because it's just, you know, it's growing, but it's just at a snail's pace. But I have to think too also that what I'm doing is a pretty small group of people that are into the vintage enduro type bikes of the 60s and 70s. So that being said, go over and give him a look. It's Free Ranger CT110, and I'll put a link in the description block on this video. So hey, give him a look. Okay guys, I just want to show you some of the stuff's going on right now. I pulled the seals out so I could measure them, and I'm looking for seals. I would rather have new seals than 50-year-old Yamaha ones, really, because they're just they're 50 years old and rubber doesn't last that long. So I'm looking right now under All Balls Racing. Doesn't look too promising there. I haven't finished looking at their metric seals outfit, but the fork seal one is not showing any promise as of now. The boots, if anybody's found a source for these, I'd sure like to know. But the best that I've been able to come up with is a Honda fork boot, and I've got some on order, and I will not know until I get them whether or not they're going to work. These things will stretch a little bit, so I think I ended up getting 42s, and the outside diameter, or inside diameter, I'm sorry. These are actually 44 if you measure these, and 40 in the groove, but they will stretch a little bit, because as long as you get the rubber ones. If you get them made from plastic, you're on your own. But anyhow, these were really difficult to get out. I had to chisel them out, but I have enough to measure the outside with here, and of course you can measure the inside of here where they go, and then the fork tube. I can't remember what they are. I think it's 40 millimeter. And let me see here real quick. Yeah, 40 millimeter OD, and of course the tubes are 28. So that's what we're looking for, and then whatever the thickness is. So I've got a lot of stuff cleaned up. I've got most of the fork parts and the speedometer, that kind of stuff. They're ready to go. I've gotten a few more parts in for the engine. We should be almost ready. I've got one seal, I think it's this seal right here, for the clutch that I have not got yet, so that may be out a little ways. I had all these parts in the Metal Rescue, and they're looking really good. Sorry about the light here. My light went out, and I'm getting ready to put a new one in. We've got some, let's see, I don't know if you can see right here or not. I've got a crack on both sides right here that I've got to weld up, and we've got to make an end here for the shifter, so we'll be doing that pretty quick. More parts cleaned up pretty good. This stuff was a little bit too greasy for the water and soap solution, so I'm going to take it out and clean it with some Stoddard, and then come back and go back through the soap and water. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm cleaning out my ultrasonic cleaner. The hot water just really makes everything clean better, and that was really getting pretty saturated with grease and oil and dirt. So we're cleaning it out, and with the residual, I've got the frame sitting down in there where it was so dirty. I've got it soaking in the old solution. Just luckily it fit in a 5-gallon bucket like that. There's my new light I just got from Home Depot, so I'm going to get it up here today. All this stuff here, this has already been through the anti-rust or Metal Rescue. All these parts here are going to need to be zinc plated. There's special bolts. I think there's a couple more up there, but all this kind of hardware here I'm just going to plate. It takes quite a while. It's about a day job probably to get most of that done. I've got a few other parts from a couple other bikes I need to do too. But we're in the process of cleaning and derusting and that sort of thing. So these are all the parts off the bike. Will be, I I think I'm going to go ahead and make a new harness. This one is okay, but it's so crusty that especially where it goes through the neck right here, this is going to break at any time. It's just rock hard, and it's much easier to make a new one than it is to cut this one down, pull connectors off, and put new sleeving on in most cases. If it wasn't for this needing that, then I probably would not do it. But it's not broke right now, but it will be soon. So we're going to get to that, and I think my plan is just to go ahead and make a new harness. That's not a very big one, and not a very complicated one, so we'll get that done. Now over here I'm getting ready to de-rust the pipe a little bit. Sometimes you have to kind of get creative, and I've just got a box here that I put a couple wraps of plastic in so it doesn't leak on me. And this way it doesn't take a lot of solution, and we can just put the metal rescue in there, and hopefully it won't leak. And I can probably get by with about 3 gallons or so. And I'll have to turn it upside down and get the mount here also. Like I say, just get creative on these kind of strange looking parts. And when I get ready to plate something like this rod, I'll employ the same type of thing where you just kind of get a box that'll fit in, put your plastic in there, and pour a little bit of the solution in, and that takes care of the problem. And I've got some parts over here de-rusting. You see the center part there. I think I'll take that out and put it in here with the pipe. That'll finish that up. Yeah. So I'll put a couple more gallons in there, and it should get it started pretty good. And this will be done probably in 4 or 5 hours. Okay, the frame cleaned up pretty good. Now I've just got to get in there and buff it, but I got most of the grease and the dirt off. And now I'm starting to clean up some parts for replating. I've got some going already. But I'm going to go ahead and do the springs. They're supposed to have covers over them. I don't know whether the covers that I ordered are going to work or not, so we just won't know. But these at least need to be plated somehow. They weren't too rusty, but they were rusty some. And I've got these parts here I've got to get in the plater, so I'll be doing this most of the day. And down here I've got a few things in the metal rescue. This is for the Suzuki, the headlight on it, some bolts and stuff in a little basket. And although I'm going to try to buff the swing arm out, I want to get the rust off. So I've got it cleaned up, and I'll just go ahead and leave it in there for a little while and try to get the rust off where the bare metal is. Okay, we're just about done here. I've got the last batch still in the vat. This should be done in about 30 minutes. And this is all the kind of weird hardware, the round nosed or topped nuts or bolts, and all the stuff that axles, springs, so on and so forth. Regular nuts and washers I don't do. I just put new ones on. Okay guys, this is all the parts that I've got to try to buff out. And if you look up here in the speedometer area, that is probably as much of the way the color was that you'll find on this bike anyway. So it seems like that, let me get this other piece that we've already buffed out. It kind of looks to me like that's pretty darn close. So if we can get it to buff out everywhere, you know, there's going to be some places it's not going to work so good probably, like the swing arm. You know, there's a lot of paint missing off that. But as a survivor, I think it's just better to do it this way. You're always going to have little chips and scrapes and that sort of thing. So only time will tell. We've got all this stuff to buff out. Got the fork legs, the triple trees. I think we've got a couple dents there, but we're not going to worry about them. The only thing that I don't have up here is the chain guide, and it doesn't have a lot of paint on it, but I forgot to clean it, so it's getting cleaned right now. So let me get started on this and see what we come up with. Okay, here's the headlight bucket, looking pretty spiffy, and the side cover. This ear I've done, this one I haven't, and this fork leg I've done, and this one I haven't. So it's, you know, it's not perfect. You could probably be better, but it looks pretty darn nice for 1967. I'm going to get all these takeoff parts done, and then I'm going to start on the frame. Okay, this is the side I've been working on. You can kind of see the difference a little bit here. This side not done, this side's done. It's more just shiny, I think. That's it brings out the color a little bit, but it's also shinier, so that's a lot of what we're seeing. I'm using pretty much a two-step process here. I'm using the little wool pad and a heavy-duty compound. And then I come back with the foam pad, and this is, they call it micro synthetic, but this is a fine to medium type compound. So that's what I finish up with. The foam pad gets into the little nooks and crannies a little bit better. But you know what? Is it easier than painting? Yeah, it is, but you know, paint would be, you know, to completely do it would sure look better, no doubt about it. If you're doing something like this where you've got spot welds, be careful, because I've got a couple of them. Let's see, right here and right there. That one was really sticking up good, so that was those things will just rip you to shreds. So be careful if you're doing something like this. Go over it first to make sure you don't have any protruding spot welds. Of course, the part right there, like underneath the gas tank, you know, that's really going to not show up good. I mean, it's going to be, it'll buff out good because, you know, the sun hadn't been there. But the rest of it didn't do too bad either. It's pretty nice for as old as a paint job is. There's still a lot of that white overspray on it. I think somebody must have been, it's mostly on the right side, so somebody must have been using a roller or something to probably paint the wall and just didn't move the bike. But it's not too bad. So that's about as good as I'm going to do, I think. You know, you could do better if you wanted to, spend a lot of time at it, but I don't. You know, it's a big improvement just to clean the stuff up, and you know, to get the grease and oil and dirt off of it. But to buff it out just kind of brings that little extra visual appeal to it. You know, of course, paint would bring more of that visual appeal, but that would be, you know, that means sandblasting and primer, painting, all that stuff, and then you've really got to worry about it so that you don't scratch it. This has already got stuff on it, so we're not too worried about it. Okay, next thing I've got here is just a kind of a little dent here on the bottom of the fender. It's really the only one I'm seeing, so I'm going to try to take care of it on the English wheel. I'm not sure I'm going to have the room, but I'm going to try. I've got my the one with the right crown, I think. See, I've got this bracket here too, so that I know is going to mess with me. So we'll give it a little. Yeah, I don't know. I think that bracket's going to mess me up. Yeah, I think that's going to mess me up. It actually did pop it up a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm just going to end up having to try to do it with a hammer, a plastic hammer. Let me try that. That bracket is just messing me up there. I can't get that to work for me. So we'll just try the little plastic hammer here. Go at it real easy. We don't want to cause divots back there. Got most of the dent out. Well, the scrapes are still there, but most of the dents, I mean the biggest part of the dent is gone. I'm going to get a dolly and see if I can flatten that just a little bit more. Okay, that's not too bad. So we got rid of most of the dent. It's got a couple, you know, some scrapes there, but most of the dent's gone. That should work good enough for what we're doing here. We'll go ahead and get this all cleaned up, and I'm still not sure. We'll see what some compound will do to the aluminum paint, but at this point I'm not real sure how good it's going to do, but we'll see. Okay, next thing we need to take care of here is a couple welding issues. I'm not real sure whether you can see it right here, and on the back side also. So I'm going to tap this back up into place, and then we'll give that a little weld, little bead right there and on the back side. And if you remember, the shifter had the rubber holder, the toe, whatever you want to call it, broken off. So we're going to make one. You know, it won't be chrome or anything, but we're gonna make one and get it on there, and I've got a new rubber for it too. So that's the next thing on the agenda. Okay, on this, this is the toe part of it. We've got to start out with quite a bit bigger. This is 1/2 inch stock because we've got to make the button on the end of it that holds the rubber on. So it's almost, you know, it can be just almost this size, but we've got to turn this down all the way up to the first line to about 5/16 for it to go into here, and then weld it on, and it'll fit onto there, and then the button goes on beyond that. So that's our first thing we've got to do here. And we'll just go ahead and take a facing cut here on the end also, just to square it up for our weld. That should work fine. It should be long enough, I believe. So we'll come on up here. My line's kind of disappeared, but let me get set up to cut it off. Okay, I think that's about right. Yeah, I think so. That should push over that. Might have to use a little soap and water, but it should go. And once we get it welded on, should be ready to go again. Just kind of grind the old one off. Okay, so there's our, we'll just weld that right on there. Hopefully we'll get it somewhat straight. And once we get it on, then we can put our rubber on. I think I may try to clean this up a little bit and probably nickel plate it. I think that's what I'm going to do. And let's see if I can get this put back to where it should be. Looks like we just need to whack it a couple times to close up the brake. Yeah, looks good. It also has the, this is, I believe, the stop for the brake. It seems like it kind of comes, it just kind of loops around. I'll have to go out and look on the YL1 and see how that's situated. We just as well fix that while we're here. Okay, this got the new peg for the shifter here. We have got an insane amount of wind today. It's you probably hear it, and it's probably going to mess up my welding here too. But we're going to get this on, and then we're going to weld the kickstand bracket, and I can kind of see what I need to do. I've cut some stuff here to weld the stop for the brake, but for now let's just get started on this. Get it tacked on here. It blew like this all night, and sounds like probably till in the morning. All right, guys, look at my floor. These darn winds all day long, just blowing it in here. Anyhow, we had a pretty productive day. We've got all the paint buffed out. Looks pretty good. Certainly not as good as a paint job, but it's a survivor. That's what we're going to call it. I did get our cracks welded up here, and got the this is the stop for the brake pedal. Got that welded on, and what else did? Seemed like there was something else on that. No, I think that was it. And then of course we got the foot portion welded onto the, or toe portion I guess you call it, onto the shifter. And we put all the chrome, for the most part, in the metal rescue, and it's really come out pretty good. And we did a lot of plating. I went ahead and plated the springs. I'm hoping that I've got some boots coming, but we've got I think most of the stuff that needs to be plated that is that you can't buy or you can't get, or it's just too costly to get. So I plated all that. Actually, I've got about 2 days in all this. Pretty much the plating one day, and I did the chrome in the metal rescue probably over a couple days, and then spent all day today buffing out the frame and the painted parts, repair of the welds that I needed to do. And I think we're just about there. This just come out of the degreaser. It'll get some black paint. Still got a lot of parts that need cleaning. Not too bad though. It's mostly this stuff. I haven't cleaned any of this. I'm going to go ahead and clean that and get it in the metal rescue so we can get rid of the rust underneath. Pretty much the same story on that one. And we've got the sprocket ready to go. I've got this wheel cleaned up. It cleaned up really nice. Don't know what the inside looks like yet. This one here still needs a little bit of cleaning. I have tires coming. I just really couldn't find any knobbies that I thought I liked, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the Chico 241s on the trials tires. It's really tough these days with the metric tires. It's really hard to figure out, or it is for me, what tires are for what. And I did get a conversion chart, and really these 318s, there just isn't much out there. You know, in a 350 up, you can find all kinds of knobby tires, but the 300s and the smaller ones, it's really tough. So we've got the engine. I'm still waiting on one seal, I think. So we're still waiting on that. And the forks, I've got a set of seals, so we'll be getting to that. And I'll be cleaning up the speedometer the best I can. So we've got quite a bit of work yet to do on the YL2C, but it's almost to the point where we're going to start putting stuff together. So probably I think I'll do something different on the next video, but this one here, probably the one that follows it, we'll probably start putting things together. I'm not sure yet. We'll just see. But this is a lot of work right here over about 2 days. So we'll, at least we know we can be better than it was. It's got a little sheen to it. It's not that orange looking, dry looking paint. This does look better. Okay guys, there you have it. We got our chrome cleaned up. We've got some plating done on the parts that are hard to find, expensive, you know the drill. We've got the repairs made. As far as I know, I just had 2 places I needed to weld. Took care of the shifter and the foot pegs. So that stuff is done. The paint is buffed out pretty good. So most of the cleaning is done. I've got some of the fenders I think yet to do, but we can get started on reassembling here pretty soon. I'm just waiting on some tires. Once the tires are here, and tires, tubes, and a couple other little things that I need. And we're still waiting on a seal for the engine. But that being said, I can probably get started on the engine, and it's on the clutch actuator on the clutch side case. That's the one I'm missing. So I can do pretty much everything except put that side case on. But it'll show up here in a little bit and we'll be ready to go with the whole thing. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.